This week, or last week rather, the ICC issued arrest warrants for Yoav Gallant and Bibi Netanyahu for war crimes that they've done over the last year or so. And we saw, like, of course, over the last week, Biden spending the waning days of his lame duck presidency doing everything possible to protect them from international criminal justice and whipping senators in his own government to continue to vote for arms transfers to Israel. And I guess, like, when I think about this and like all the people involved in it, I think it really shows like the futility of people who think that like the election's over, like Gaza, like voters didn't really care about it, or like we should just the idea, the fantasy that we can just focus on a domestic agenda when like every single person who's stopping anything good from happening domestically are also huge supporters of Israel who will not brook even the slightest disagreement or criticism or accountability for the state of Israel and in the many crimes it's done over the last year or so. And I guess like I'm thinking about this, like over the last like couple of weeks since the election, Felix and I have talked on the show about this kind of strange strategy of displacement that angry liberals are going through now, where like they're reveling in the thought of deporting Latino or Muslim voters who didn't come through for them or betrayed them in some way. And it's like they can displace their own fantasies of what they want to do to punish minorities onto Trump, who will do it for them. And that way, it's not me doing it. It's Donald Trump, who's a bad person, but I'm just enjoying it. Do you think that there's like a similar strategy of displacement going on the right, at least as it regards to like their obsession with grooming and sex crimes? And like, look, it's been very politically useful for them because the targets of are institutions that are normally associated with the left, like the movie industry or the music industry. But like, what do you make about their obsession with protecting women and protecting children when given who they just tried to nominate to be Attorney General of the United States?
I mean, it's so astonishing. And first on the liberals having, being happy about people being deported. I mean, I was looking back and in the story about the rape gang, I was looking back at, the biggest moment, what Ivanka Trump has said is the lowest moment in Trump's presidency. And I think that the sort of crowning moment for the resistance was the all of the coverage of the children in cages and the child separations and the really, detailed and heartbreaking stories of, women being, locked away and, having their babies and children, confiscated, some of them while they were literally breastfeeding them. Again, images that, conjure, the West Bank, not Gaza, not to that point. And the public outrage about that was enough to actually get Trump to, overturn the policy and issue an executive order ending the policy. Now, of course, the architect of that policy is his border czar, so we'll probably see a return. But, it's hard to it's hard not to just be astonished at the extent to which the libs have really just abandoned any moral high ground that used to be, that used to be their calling card and all year. And I've been wondering throughout this genocide, like, well, how are you okay with this? Like, how everyone knows that this is destructive, even if all you care about is Israel, right? Like, even if you just care about the medium term for Israel as a state, like this is not going to make it easy to be an Israeli, as, not that they care. But yeah, it's just gotten so out of control. And with the Nancy Mace, her outlandish, like, what did she do? Did she created a rule to ban what's her face from the women's restroom? Just that episode, which I hadn't even like paid attention to until recently. It's just like this is just sadistic and mean, and nobody, I don't think that this is popular. I don't think that Nancy Mace is like making any friends by singling out the one trans woman in, this body of 435 for ostracism in this extremely humiliating and gratuitous way, that's gross. But could the Democrats really even say anything about it? No, because they don't have any moral compass, and they're like, oh, that them ad cost us the election, and it's like, man, the them ad. The luggage thief thing, being reminded of that was not a high point for the Biden administration, but I think the genocide was a little more important.
If Felix and I have talked before in the past about this weird act of projection, like when people see people protesting against this war or protesting in favor of solidarity with Palestinians or for their freedom. And it can be discerned that anyone protesting is like gay or trans. They immediately jump to why don't you go to Gaza where they'd fucking kill you for being gay or trans? Unlike me, who would never consider doing something like that. And I just think with Israel, I think it's the same literal an imperial project of where Israel gets to be the vessel that's our imperial proxy in which they can exercise good old-fashioned colonialism and all the attendant violence, both sexual and otherwise, that goes along with it. And that, if it can be shown that it's okay, if we can carve out this exception where it's all international law just does not apply, it is okay when they do it. And I'm referring to news reports from last week that one of the leading surgeons left in Gaza was raped to death after being kidnapped and thrown in an Israeli prison. That, if we can carve out an exception, then it's sort of we're carving out an exception for us as well.
Yeah, that is what I tell people who, say well, I'm not a Zionist, but I don't care about any of this shit. Even if I find that kind of morally repugnant, even just from a cynical angle, you should care about this, if only for the reason that Israel is their petri dish for determining what is the absolute worst things they could get away with. It's kind of been that way for the last 30 years. It's a preview of, what we'll do to climate refugees. It is a preview of what things will look like here if things get worse. Going back to sort of the liberal glee and the current right wing the Nancy Mace thing. I think another thing we've talked about on the show a few times, and it's something that Josh Ettinger-Menton brought up a few times. It is sort of the story of the last two presidencies, and will probably be the story of this presidency. The idea that by virtue of us winning, that is a vindication of us doing whatever we want all the time. If we win, that means that everything that people said was stupid or counterproductive, that means it actually worked. No one ever wins, despite anything, or, there were parts of their campaign that were stupid or didn't work, or policies that aren't popular. No, it's all popular because we won. That was a weight around the neck of the first Trump administration. And it was also kind of the case with Biden. After 2022, after that midterm, they just decided well, no, yeah, there you go. No one thinks Biden's
right. And they didn't even win in 2022.
Exactly. But
the Republicans still got the stupid majority. I don't know. Maybe they like it better that way, but
they absolutely do.
But the sort of new feature beyond anything we want to do is right all the time because we won. The new thing is anything that happens to you is right because we lost. And any reason we lost is because of you and never because of us.
Right. And have either of you seen this BB Leaks movie that is about to come out? Or I don't know, it was leaked on Telegram. I haven't finished. I've just watched about
are these the recordings that would seem to imply that they absolutely knew October 7th was going to happen and let it occur?
So I haven't gone that far yet. Damn, spoiler alert.